Alright, today we're going to go over sanding. You got a first coat on here, you're going to have to put a second coat. You don't want any high ridges. And there's going to be a little bit like this. You can feel it's kind of smooth, but you just want to take your sanding sponge. When it's smooth to the touch, just run your hand over it. You catch a little spot, you just, that's it. And when yesterday we went over very light coats, so it's very minimal. Get you just a good old medium to high sanding sponge, or you can get medium to smooth. I always do medium to rough. These are two-sided. It's got one grit on one side and one grit on the other. Home Depot, Lowe's, like $5. Anyway, just turn it like this, smooth as a touch. And you're going to feel the divot where those screws are at. Now when you're mudding on the joint, you'll notice when you run your hand over top of it that you're going to feel the divot from where that bevel is at. You won't obviously feel it on this one. You actually feel a little bit of a rise. I'll show you how to do that. But you want to just go down through this edge. You'll feel a very, very light, because you put it on light. You feel a very little bit of a rise. You take the sand sponge. It feels smooth. And another thing you can do is if you think you have a high spot here in the middle, take your trowel and go down it. If you don't feel any high spot, you don't need to stand here in the middle. So you just go over everything, make it to where it feels nice and light, tight. Divot. If anybody's wondering why I'm finishing drywall while this wall here has no drywall on it, that's over top of my bathtub. I'm going to tile that, so I'm going to put a moisture barrier and 1/2 inch Durarock on that, so I don't actually have to put drywall on that side. Let's come down through here. You see we got a little bit here. Down here. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll bring the camera in a little closer. Phone, it's not a camera. There's a little tiny ridge right here. Now, if the trowel doesn't touch that ridge, don't spend any time on that. This whole divot right here is in the bevel. So if the trowel don't hit it, don't bother with it. I done messed up my whole camera angle. I'm not a cameraman. Also, I'm using my phone. Alright, so now, I've already said you got smooth, go down, anything in the bevel you don't worry about. And this part over here don't matter either because I'm putting Durarock here too for the top. Technically, I don't have to, but I do like to do that. You can just use an adhesive and glue it straight to the drywall, but it is in a shower. So, any kind of more moisture barrier you have, you're good. Back on the topic though, we're doing drywall, not tile. Now on the butt edge, you want to go over the whole thing. You'll have, to see where I beveled yesterday, there's a tiny divot right here. Nope, you ain't gonna see nothing. I forgot to adjust the camera angle. Give me just 1 second. There we go. Just bring it in a little closer. It might fall over. This takes too long. There we go. Anyway, so you come down here and you'll feel this slight divot in the butt joint where I gapped it out. and that's fine. You come across. Now this one you want to go over the whole joint because there's no bevel there to absorb any of that. You want to make sure you have it as smooth as possible. A little bit of a bump right here where it's squeezed out. Trowel, hit it, scrape it off. Those are all the screws. Now, we're going to feather this joint out about yay far. You'll notice there's a little bit of a rise in this, but once you the smaller, the least you have that out, the less fluff feathering you have to do. So you want to come out, we're going to go out about 12 inches, and we'll go on each side of that, and then when you sand that down, you have very, very minimal coating on that. And when you sand this down, you'll feel it and it'll feel smooth. That's all that matters. Plus it'll be behind the toilet, so that's what you'll notice. Now, do not feather bevel joints. I've seen people feather these things out, these 16 inches on the other side. It's pointless, absolutely pointless. Now, the next step you want to do after you've sanded, these camera angles are kicking me over here. Alright. Let me get this marked. Woo! Struggling with the camera this morning. Alright, now, next thing. Some people don't do this, I don't think. Rag, water. Just damp it, and you want it damp. You do not want it soaked. It's very damp. And you go over everywhere you just sanded, and just wipe the dust off. Now, the reason you do this is because what happens is this dust that you have all over your wall right now, when you're mudding, it will clump up. As you're spreading your new mud, your top coating, it'll collect and it'll ball up, kind of like a snowball effect. And it'll give you little ridges in your mud, and then it'll accumulate in your mud. And you don't want that, because you sit there and you go like this and you smear it, and you got this beautiful joint, and then all of a sudden you don't. And the secret, I know you couldn't see me right there, but the secret to a good joint is knowing when to stop mudding. If you ever watched anything with cooking, Marco Pierre White says the secret to learning how to cook is to know when to stop. Same thing with mudding drywall. If you go once and it looks good, leave it alone. You can always go back and touch things up. 3 coats. You do your tape and mud, you do a finish coat, you go back and do a touch up. If you can't do it in 3 coats, keep touching up until you get it. You're going to do a lot of sanding. Until you get used to it, you're going to do a lot of sanding. You're going to do a lot of touch ups. And you might have to do a lot of retakes. I know yesterday I went over, I was going to show you how to do air bubbles, but nothing air bubbled on me. So, but how you would do that, I don't have my knife with it. You just take your box cutter, go to the air bubble, slice it, take some mud, put down in it, take your trowel, squeeze it down. Simple as that. And I know I'm not pausing today. The pauses were so short yesterday, it was kind of pointless. There you go. Just wipe the wall down so it's not dusty anymore. Now, we have our topping. It's got a much smoother finish to it. And today I actually charged my battery in my drill, so I can mix that with the thing. Let's do. Now, for anybody wondering, a lot of professionals, let's get these camera angles where we need them. Hey, cameraman. Alright, professionals use like a 90-minute mud. I think I was doing better yesterday. Some professionals use a 90-minute or a 45-minute mud. It's a powder. It comes in a bag, like a Quick Creek kind of thing. Get a bucket, mix some water. If you're trying this first, don't buy that, because you will not be fast enough or good enough to get it on before it dries, and you don't want to be mudding dry mud. So we'll just take a mixer. You don't need this kind of mixer. You can get the little swirly ones. Any mixer will do. Like I said yesterday, you can mix it by hand if you wish. Mix it till it's smooth. Make sure to clean your mixer. Clean tools. Make sure to clean your mixer. You want to make sure to get in these crevices. Usually you can just keep a bucket of water next to it, mix it, it'll usually come off. Or you take a water hose and spray it. It don't matter. As long as you get it clean. Here, so I'll get on the flooring. Okay. Now topping is very simple. You already got your mud. You'll notice as you're doing this, the topping is much thinner than the joint compound. It's because it's topping. Joint compound is a thicker consistency to it. Do not mix it down with water. That way, as your house settles, your joints don't crack. And sometimes they still will. It depends on how much your house is. If it's a new house. like me, this is a trailer. It might settle a lot. It might settle a little. I have no idea. And then you just like yesterday, get your rhythm going. All the way across, swipe. All the way across, swipe. Don't let your drywall get too far down. Go pull toward the direction that you're going to. So you go out past your mud that you just pulled, pull toward it. Out fast, toward it. And pull everything back to where you just started. Divot here. I don't know where that came from. Another one here. But this, like I said, this joint over here don't matter. It's getting dirt rock behind it. But you want it to still be kind of smooth, I guess. Fill the whole joint with mud. Pull back. Don't worry if it's not smooth yet. If you're going to take your trowel, you want to hold it at a very, you don't want to hold it real flat, but you don't want to hold it, we'll say about a little less than a 45, probably about a 30-degree angle. And just come down this whole joint. This way, just go over the whole joint. Now to keep from sanding, whatever you have excess up here, go over that, press down, and back. Very thin coats. And another note, and there, you'll see this little there's a ripple here. That's from pulling back and forth. Don't try to get it out. Just sand it. You'll spend your whole life trying to get that thing out. You'll see there's might be some holes. Yeah, you can go ahead and try to get those out. Just add a little bit of extra mud. That's probably from air holes, air pockets. That's no big deal. Best thing to do is just let them dry, sand them, then go back over. Now for this here, on your butt joint, you're going to want to watch and not disturb this joint. So you can either do this one of two ways. If you get good, you can actually blend them together, and you'll have a little bit of a ridge right here, a little bit of a high spot. Don't worry about that. Anyway, you might get a little bit of a ridge here, just kind of like where they're beveled together. Or you can start here, about an inch down, and then once these two dry, just go back over it. Which if you're a beginner, that's about the easiest, absolute easiest way to do it. Let me drop the camera down, I'll show you how to do the butt joint. Real quick, screw heads. Put it on thick, flat trowel, up high, there you go. Just get rid of the divots. That's all you want to do. Divot. Alright. Now the butt joint. So, Pretty simple. Same thing as the beveled joint for the most part. Mud across with as thick or as thin as you wish. And loose at a runaway. Always across. You want to go across your joint. And finish mud across, mud up, or mud down. Don't really matter. If you start at the floor, mud up. And if you're starting at this joint, if you notice I started about an inch off of that. If you're starting the butt joint from the ceiling, you want to mud down towards your joint. It's just easier access to get to it because your handle is going to hit the floor or hit the ceiling before your trowel will. So just whatever angle you can get to it, make it look the best as you can. And some of these you actually don't have to feather. I don't feather out very far. If you notice, we're taking the vast majority of the mud that we just put on there off. Very, very light coats. Down here. Push that in a little bit. Yeah. Use your judgment on that. You don't have to feather it. I think it looks fine the way it is. I'm not going to bother feathering it way out here. Real light. Like I said, if you want to, you can go ahead and do this part. But you will touch your joint up here. So you want to come from this joint and go down. And that's a good example of how you're going to mess it up. So if you come down, this mud's already drier than this mud. See how you pulled right? No, you can't. You'd see how it pulled a little bit of a wrinkle, and that's not really a big deal. That can be fixed later. There you go, sanding, mudding for your second coat. Hope it helped.